Many of you have been scrolling across Instagram, scrolling across TikTok, and you've been seeing influencers and content creators that have lost their way, hopping on private planes with brand deals and flying to California to go glamping. Fly among the stars on billionaire rockets to become one with the heavens. You've seen them turn away. But now there is a patron saint for these influencers, these content creators, and yes, even the Minecraft streamers. There is a patron saint for all of them here, and the good news has been dropped all the way from the Pope in Rome. We've prepared ourselves, our mind, and our body because we have opened
too many tabs. Remember to smile.
Today's episode is a pretty crazy one.
Yeah?
That we're going to be talking about the First Millennial Saint that was just named. But before we get into that, just for our longtime listeners, I know the last bunch of episodes have been a little bit different and a little bit more intense because we've been dealing with stuff that is kind of, happening right now. I just want to go ahead and hit you guys with a guarantee button I haven't hit in a long time.
And that's our no Nazi guarantee.
For our new listeners, we had a button made.
Yes.
In the end of season one?
End of season one, we had to create a button, the no Nazi guarantee button, and that button is also to let you know this is a good vibes episode.
We're gonna try our darndest.
We're trying our darndest because let's just face it, guys. Out there is dark skies, but in here we have bright lights,
good vibes,
big smiles, because that's what our show's about: remembering to smile. And one of the things that is bringing us a smile right now, and actually also brought Mrs. P an aneurysm, is the other day we were laying in bed and you had your laptop out because you were working on a future episode, a upcoming book episode that we have coming out pretty soon. And you were sitting there and all of a sudden out of nowhere you went, "What is this?" Because Windows 11 has an update.
Yeah.
We talked about pretty recently. And Windows 11 now just blasts you with news in the corner. It's crazy and it's never good. And they thought they were doing something nice on this one.
Yeah.
Your computer was just like First Millennial Saint.
Yep.
Is being canonized by the Catholic Church. And then you clicked on it, and then you immediately I'll be right back. I was like, what? And you left, and you just started doing research. And then you came back and started showing me things, and I said, this is for the show. We have to.
I like how showing you things was me just standing in the room going, "Wah!"
Yeah, it was, look at this. There's socks. Okay, we'll get to that. But let us know tell me all about this First Millennial Saint. Thank you.
Okay. So the First Millennial Saint, the Blessed Carlo Acutis. Okay. He passed away.
Yeah.
That's part of being a saint, is you pass away.
Yeah.
They're
no living saints.
No living saints.
Those people will tell you, that person, living saint. They're a liar.
No.
Or at least they're not Catholic.
Whoa. He passed away at the age of 15 from leukemia in 2006.
Okay.
And he is being referred to as God's influencer. So, I mean, all the other influencers better look out.
Yeah, look out.
Because you might be selling hair gummies.
Yeah.
Or dick gummies. I don't know.
You know what? It's crazy how all of our meds are gummies now.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to just swallowing pills?
You guys
we got rid of that. Nobody swallows anything now. I got to chew it a little.
Yeah, no. It needs to taste like candy.
It does. I need grape.
Yeah.
The only way I'm getting through anything, grape flavoring. Maybe strawberry.
Maybe.
But anyway, back to Carlo.
Okay, so yeah, Carlo, he was 15 and he's the patron saint of the internet per the Pope. The Pope says so.
That's such a crazy sentence.
Per the Pope.
The Pope, the famously up-to-date Pope.
The guy knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to the internet.
Yeah, you know what I think? When I think of people who have their finger on the pulse, I think of the Catholic Curia. So this kid, 2006, what did he do?
Okay, so here's the thing. He was, in quotes, computer whiz for the time.
For 2006.
For 2006. In the early aughts, he was big into developing websites for his high school and nearby churches.
Okay.
And he created websites and cataloged all the major Eucharistic miracles that were recorded. A Eucharistic miracle is just the Catholic way of saying miracle.
Oh, okay. Because it's a miracle through the Eucharist, which means it's a God miracle.
Exactly. The Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. There's three of them. They're in the. It's in.
Well,
the
there's
wafer,
three of them, but there's one of them.
It's in the wine. It's the whole thing.
But there's three of them, but there's one of them.
Yeah.
There's three of them, but there's one of them.
Exactly.
People died over this. There's three of them, but there's one of them. Okay. There's literally back in the day. I love how people are like, "Oh, what do? I fight in the comments section." Baby, we used to have 100-year wars that were comment sections. Okay. You'd be over there, be like, I think when we eat this bread, it turns into human flesh. Oh, that's crazy. I don't. Stab. That's how it used to go. I love when people are like, they'll be on the internet and they'll be like, I'm being persecuted for my religion because I can't be mean to trans people. I'm like, oh yeah, have you ever been stabbed over bread?
Jesus Christ.
What?
Anyway, we're getting demonetized.
Okay. No, we're not getting demonetized. I'm just saying, if you believe it turns into flesh, you're a sinner. This is a Protestant.
No. Oh my God. What? Protestant
No.
versus Catholic at the
know.
table? Are you wearing orange right now?
Oh my God. Oh no. Oh no. My violently militant partisan Irish wife just noticed what color shirt I'm wearing.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
It's no, you know what? Not making that joke because he hit the button. He hit the button. We're staying fun.
We're a fun podcast.
This is good
news. This is a comedy history podcast where a husband and wife duo sit across from each other and tell each other silly lore.
Silly lore they learned on the internet. And listen, saints are lore, okay? Especially the patron saint of influencers. So this guy, he makes websites.
He made websites back in 2006.
Okay, which was back in 2006 was more difficult.
Yeah.
There weren't people like Squarespace, who does not sponsor us. Get
wow.
with it.
Wow. We'd have a website if they sponsored us, but I'm not making one until I get the sponsorship.
We have a website.
No.
It's Pearlmania500.net, and that then immediately sends you to our Patreon.
Yeah, because I'm not making a website until Squarespace gives me one.
You're such a monster. But it was a little bit more difficult back then. It also was like pre all the apps. Yeah. 2006 for our younger listeners was a very different time in the internet.
Oh, what a time to be alive.
Oh my God. It actually was better internet back then because you had individual websites, you had individual forums, Facebook. Our parents weren't on Facebook. Facebook was new pretty much.
I wasn't on Facebook then.
I know, but you had to, I think 2006 was right around the time when you still had to have, MySpace was still like the top, and then you still had to have a college email address.
Yeah.
Had to have a .edu.
Didn't have one of those.
And then like that was like really exclusive. And so our parents weren't on Facebook. The YouTube was just rolling out. YouTube was pretty new. Instagram didn't exist.
Yep.
Twitter, I don't think was there yet. I think you could still.
I don't know.
I know.
In 2006, I was not.
I know you don't. And also, we have a lot of. No, listen. From reading some of the very nice messages we had a lot of listeners who actually weren't like old enough to really understand what was going on. So like, I think in 2006, I might be wrong, but around 2006, you could still text Twitter. Like it had a number. And one of the big things with Twitter was it was one of the first places where like I could go post on my computer. I could type basically a text and send it. It'd be 140 characters. And then I could also go to like 40400 or whatever it was. And I had my phone number was registered to Twitter. And so I could just, it felt like I was texting the internet.
That's so crazy.
And so like that was like the early thrill of it. Eventually it was used to destroy the world. But back then, this was very
on
very
a BlackBerry.
Early. No, I had it on my Nokia.
Oh, Nokia
I had a Nokia
slide.
with the chain. No, not even a slide. An actual like T9 Nokia with the changeable faceplate.
Wow.
And the pullout. Actually, I think it was a Nokia or was it a Kyocera?
I had a Nokia slide, John, where you like slid it up like that.
I had that later. Yeah, it was for the two-way text field.
God. Bring those back.
But this is the age. This is the time that we're talking about that this guy died.
Yeah.
Because he was 15.
Young man, he's 15.
He's 15. He's a teenager, and he's making these websites, and it's just like a list.
It's just a list.
Here's a list of miracles.
I don't want to say just. That makes it seem not as important. It was important work for him.
But I feel like there's also like people like you can go if you can type in list of miracles into Wikipedia and get a list of miracles now. Like there's people who've been doing this. I mean, obviously there weren't as many of them, and it was also a time in 2006 where only a much smaller percentage of the world was actually on the internet.
Yeah.
And also, where was he from? Do you know where he was from?
I think he was from Italy, right?
I don't know.
Oh, I think he might be from Italy.
Okay.
I feel like he was. Let me say.
Yeah, but also it's one of those things where he was, also in Italy and stuff like that, and in Europe in general, like the internet was spread a little bit slower than it did here in America. Like we have a very American-centric view of the internet.
British-born Italian teenager.
British-born? Yeah, this guy's confusing. Okay. British-born Italian. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he was writing websites and he was helping to spread the faith.
Yes.
Across the internet.
Also, his parents weren't Catholic. He became Catholic.
What?
I know. That's so. Listen, it's the J.D. Vance thing.
No, stop. We said no names.
Sorry.
Current names.
Sorry. It's when you choose to be Catholic, it's weird. If you're born in, fine. If you're born in, different.
Yeah.
You wake up one day and you're like, you know what I want to do? Be Catholic? No. No, that's a weird choice.
It's like choosing to be a Jets fan.
Choosing to be a Mets fan.
Oh,
hey!
This is a Phillies house. So this kid, he's using the internet.
Mm-hmm.
He passes.
Yes.
Dies of leukemia.
Yep.
And now here we are, 19 years later, and they've declaring him a saint.
Yeah. So he performed miracles. After passing away,
okay, because you gotta do at least
have
two.
Miracles.
I think it's at least 2 miracles.
Gotta have miracles.
Okay,
you can't become a saint without miracles.
What were the miracles?
I believe a young woman was very sick and potentially dying in the hospital, and she thought of him and thought of his life, and then she got better.
Okay.
Right? And then I don't know if
So he did that, not the doctors that were in the hospital or anything that's going on in the hospital or any of the medication or possible any of that stuff. It was definitely she had a little think about this guy.
Let me say, on May 23rd, 2024, Pope Francis recognized a second miracle attributed to the intercession of Acutis. That's him intervening. The miracle attributed to it was in 2022 when a Costa Rican woman named Valeria had fallen off her bike and suffered a brain hemorrhage, with doctors giving her a low chance of survival. Valeria's mother, Liliana, prayed for intercession from Acutis and visited his tomb. The same day, Valeria began to breathe independently again and was able to walk the next day, with all the evidence of the hemorrhage having disappeared.
Okay.
That was the second one.
That was the second one.
Yeah.
So fell off a bike, hit their head. I'm assuming not wearing a helmet.
Listen. Okay.
I just think if your miracle could get taken out by a helmet, I'm just throwing that out there.
Guys, wear helmets.
Wear helmets. We're big. This is a big helmet podcast.
Big helmet podcast.
Okay.
Okay. So wait. On November 14, 2019, the Vatican's Medical Council expressed a positive opinion about a miracle in Brazil attributed to Acutis intercession. Luciana Viana had taken her son Matthias, who
Matthias?
It's Matthias, I think.
Okay.
Who was born with pancreatic defects and made eating difficult, to a prayer service. Beforehand, she prayed a novena asking for her the teenager Acutis' intercession. During the service, Matthias had asked that he should not, quote, throw up as much. Immediately following the service, he told his mother that he felt healed and asked for some solid food. And when he came home, he was able to eat, and before that he'd always been on an all-liquid diet.
Okay.
After a detailed investigation, Pope Francis confirmed the miracle's authenticity in a decree February 21st, 2020, leading to his Acutis' beatification. So that was the first miracle.
Got it. Yeah, because there's like a certain level of there's layers. If you get miracle 1, you get beatified.
Yep.
You get miracle 2. Then you get canonized, and then you become a saint. I know this because this was like one of my little obsessions when I was younger.
Really?
Yeah, there's these books called the Big Books. So it was like Big Book of Weird and like Big Book of Martyrs and Big Book of Saints and stuff like that. And one of the books I had, it was this comic book, and it was written and drawn by all of these different artists, and they would take all these different stories and they'd put them in. I had it somewhere. I don't know if I still have them, but I loved them. And because you'd go through. And I remember specifically like the Big Book of Martyrs was going through all these different saints and like seeing their stories and everything. I just thought it was really neat because also I always found Catholicism interesting because y'all play Pokemon with saints.
It's true.
Y'all play Pokemon like every other, like in Protestantism, right? You got Jesus.
Yep.
We're done. We're done. We're basically done. You got some Holy Spirit out there.
You got Jesus, Holy Spirit, and God. That's not even one thing in itself.
Yeah, but listen, you've seen it. They're always like, we got to pray.
What about his mom?
We don't. Listen, his mom's there.
Mary. Yeah, what about Joseph?
What about him?
Saint Joseph.
Wait, he's
patron
a saint
of carpenters.
He sounds like the patron saint of cucks to me.
Whoa.
But I'm just saying she's there. She's in the story, but maybe she makes it to the stained glass, but she don't get a statue.
Yo, you guys don't even have good stained glass.
I know.
You don't even.
No,
that's the other thing is like when I go. We've talked about this on the pod before.
Yes.
When I go to other churches that aren't Catholic, I'm like, what is this? What is this warehouse you're in?
Strip mall.
I need marble. I need oak. I need stained glass.
Well, see, that's the reason why.
Incense, lilies.
But this is the reason why when you look at Catholic shit, right? Catholic shit inspires people to write dystopian science fiction. Catholic shit inspires people to make an entire Warhammer army. Mm-hmm. Nobody ever sits down and sees a Joel Osteen service in the Circuit City Arena and thinks, you know what? I'm gonna base all my Eldar off of this.
Nope.
For Warhammer 40K. Nobody looks at some of these other ones, and like I've been around to these places. Like there's something about a Gothic cathedral.
Nice.
There's just something
Real
you
nice.
get there and you go, that's pretty different. I don't know if it makes me want to believe in anything, but it at least makes me look up and go, holy shit.
It makes you want to believe in artists, in architecture. It makes you want to believe in putting a quarter into things so I can light a candle.
You know what? I love
lighting a candle.
You know what the evangelicals make me believe in when I see their buildings?
It's hot outside. They're always in a tent.
No, it makes me believe this coffee's overpriced and they used AI on their board. That's what I believe. I mean, you get to a lot of these.
They do be opening coffee shops.
They love to open a coffee shop. And then it's like, listen, I have my problems with the Catholic Church. And a lot of it comes down to the fact that you guys move your priests around. I was talking about it the other day. I was like, they move them around like a shell game. 5 years. Move them every 5 years. Got to move them. That blew my mind when I found that out pretty recently. Every 5 years, they move a priest around.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't like that.
No.
But the thing is like a lot of the old stuff, it just looks cool.
Looks great.
And especially when you get into the saint stuff, because you get all these little statues.
Yep.
And then there's the merch.
All my grandmoms and aunts, they got the St. Jude magazine.
St. Jude catalog?
Yeah, it's like a catalog.
What?
Yeah, so there's like, okay, merch is a big deal for Catholics. It's just not what you're used to. It's like little medallions you put in your car for your patron saint. Every family has a patron saint.
What do you mean every family has a patron saint?
So like most Catholic families, I don't want to speak for everybody.
Okay.
Your family has a patron saint.
Each family gets their own guy?
You pick your guy or your gal. And this is your patron saint of your family. And then
because like I knew like a city got one. I know that like obviously like because the church will be named after one, like they get one.
Yeah.
But each individual family gets one.
It's not like the priest picks it for you. You kind of pick it based on what's going on in your family.
Okay.
So like if all the guys in your family are carpenters, you're gonna pick Saint Joseph because he's the patron saint of carpenters.
Well, why wouldn't you just pick Jesus? Because Jesus was a carpenter.
Because you don't pick Jesus, you pick the saints.
No, but like if I'm gonna pick somebody, I'm gonna pick the top guy. Why am I going to pick one of the lower guys? It's just confusing to me.
You need to be able to pick the lower guys because they all have different duties.
What?
So, like, okay, like if something gets lost in the house, what do?
I don't know. You look for it.
And?
I don't know.
I say a prayer to St. Anthony.
Who the fuck?
Because St. Anthony helps you find lost things.
You say a prayer while you're looking for stuff?
One time, remember we did it? We couldn't find parking for like an hour downtown.
Yeah.
And I was like, we got to say a prayer to St. Anthony.
Okay, I do
remember
remember that.
did. I said it out loud. I was like, dear St. Anthony, please help us find a parking spot because again, it's lost things.
Yeah.
And we found one like the next block.
Yeah, that's true.
And I started cackling.
Well, and then
I was like, St. Anthony got us.
And then when we were selling our house in South Philly, there was that one saint. There's somebody gave us a statue of because you have to bury him upside down in the dirt.
Yeah.
And then
to help
shove
sell
him
the house.
To help sell the house, and then we did.
Yeah.
So okay, I'll give you that one.
I'm saying they have side quests.
Okay.
The saints have side quests to explain it.
Little power-ups.
Yeah, little power-ups.
Okay.
Jesus, he's very busy.
He's covering everything.
He's got a lot to do.
Okay.
So you got to have side guys.
So now we have a patron saint. We have a millennial saint who is the patron saint of the internet and influencers and content creators.
Yes.
So what you're telling me now.
Yeah.
Is I need to go get some Carlos Acutis merch.
Yep.
Go get some socks. Go to the
Okay.
Pope's website.
Yeah.
Buy some Carlos socks. Pull on those poorly stitched
Yeah.
millennial.
They're not going to be
The
good.
same one. You know when you go to like those when you're in a small town that has a tchotchke souvenir shop.
Yes.
And they have just that weird thing of socks.
It's
they
always
were more,
socks and oven mitts.
Yeah, but they were more they were much more popular. I want to say in like 2016, 2017.
Yeah, back when mustache
Fingers,
tattoos.
all those different things.
Yeah.
But when you turn those socks inside out, you're like, oh, these are garbage.
Yeah,
they're so thin, and the inside's all messed up.
Yeah, they're made of pantyhose and paper, I think.
Yeah, awful. But anyway, it's those type of socks. So I got to pull those on, and then I what do I say? Do I say, dear Saint Carlo Acutis, please bless this video to reach the rest of the YouTube algorithm and get us 25,000 weekly views to then expand our ever-growing content creation. So that way we can pay Mr. Third a little bit more and then buy more cameras and then invest in even more of the studio. So eventually we can do something. I don't know where we're going with this.
So you're
Wait, is this? I'm not supposed to do this either.
I think you're not great at prayers.
I'm doing the wrong hands.
I think you're pretty bad.
It's this one.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like that.
Saint Acutis. Or would it be Saint Carlo?
I think it's Saint Acutis.
Okay.
Usually
They go by last name?
Sometimes it depends.
Okay, because he definitely isn't the first Carlo.
Yeah.
I know for a fact he's not the first Carlo.
Can't be.
Because there's been too many Carlos in this world for this guy. We can't get all the way to 2025. We're going to finally get a Saint Carlo. So, dear Saint Acutis,
Yep.
please bless us in the algorithm.
You're super good at prayers. I want to point that
Amen.
out. Amen.
Not amen.
Amen. I see you've been Easter dinner.
Yeah. It is Easter time. We're
you-
releasing this on Easter.
The thing is, okay, can I talk about what the thing is about all this?
About what? About the Millennial Saint?
About why I got mad about it?
Yeah, well, okay. This is the youth thing. But you go ahead because you got real mad.
Okay, so here's the thing that I got mad about, and it's the wrong thing to get mad about.
It
and
is?
I know that. I know.
But no,
here's-
hold on. I'm gonna bless you. This is your confession. Let me get the little
Holy Pizza Hut water?
Holy Pizza Hut water. Go ahead and confess, my child. Confess your sins to the internet. Because the patron saint of the internet. That's who you're you're about to badmouth right now.
I'm about to leave this in his comment section, but I
Yep.
got some thoughts.
Yep. All right.
Okay, here's the thing. He passed away of leukemia at 15. That's tragedy. That's awful. I'm very sorry. The thing is, I grew up in the Catholic Church. I went to Catholic high school. I went to Catholic summer school some of those years. I've been indoctrinated is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I lived this life.
Yep.
I didn't choose this life.
Yeah.
And there's one thing I know about saints. Saints, you die in the most crazy, horrific way.
Yeah.
It's part of the deal. It's like martyrdom is about how terrible could this possibly go for you, and then somehow you're still like, but God is good. Fingers up, woo woo, and then you get to become a saint if people pray to you about how awfully you died. I guess. Okay, I'm gonna put it this way. I went to an all-girls Catholic high school, right?
Okay.
There's a few of them in the city.
Yeah.
One of the ones that was nearby that I was friends with a bunch of girls that went to is Maria Goretti High School.
Okay.
That's one in Southleigh. And St. Maria Goretti, this is a school for teenage girls.
Okay.
Okay? Do you know how Maria Goretti passed away?
No.
Okay. She was essayed, and then when she tried to fight back, she was stabbed 14 times, and on her deathbed, she forgave the man that did it to her, and blessed him. And then when she died from the essay and the stabbing, she performed miracles in her death or whatever. And he did go to prison, and I believe he came back to the family when he got out of prison and asked for forgiveness. And within that forgiveness of the family and her, that is how she started her saintdom. This was a high school. The Maria Goretti logo is on the uniforms. You know what I'm saying? Like, the martyrdom aspect of sainthood is burned in my brain. The Saint Bartholomew. Do you know how Saint Bartholomew died?
No.
He was okay. I'm going to tell you something. He's the patron saint of leather workers, bookbinders, and tanners. You know what
Okay.
tanners do?
Yeah, they tan hides.
Yes.
Yeah, they
Leather
dye.
goods.
Yeah, they dye them.
Leather goods, book binders, things like that.
Yeah, the stuff they do at Chinese factories with Hermes.
Yeah, where they make the Hermes.
Allegedly.
Hit the button. Hit the button.
Allegedly.
St. Bartholomew was skinned alive, and that's how he died.
Wait, and they made him, he's in charge of tanning?
Yes!
And working leather?
That's what I'm saying. I'm sorry I yelled. Sorry, headphone users.
No, it's fine. Be on your shit.
But, like, this is the thing is, like, the Catholic Church, you have to die in the craziest way, and then the Catholic Church picks that thing that you died from, most likely, and makes you the patron saint of it.
Well, you don't know. Listen, I'm just saying, it's like maybe Saint Acutus got leukemia from the internet. You don't know.
Okay. Do you know how? Okay, Saint Lucy. She's the patron saint of the blind.
Saint Lucy?
Yeah, she's the patron saint of the blind.
Wait, her name's literally Lucy?
Yeah, Saint Lucy.
Like, hey, Saint Lucy. Hey, like Saint Lucy.
Patron saint of the blind.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to know how she died?
Okay.
Do you want to guess?
No.
Okay.
I really don't.
Her husband that she was forced to marry.
Yeah.
She didn't want to marry because she wanted to, I guess, give herself to the Lord. So she was going to like just be celibate for her whole life. But her parents forced her to get married. And that guy got so mad at her for her Catholic beliefs because he wasn't a Catholic. I think he was a pagan. He sent her to a brothel to be essayed multiple times. And then when she didn't die from that, they set her on fire. And when she didn't die from that, they took her eyeballs out. And now she's the patron saint of the blind. The Catholic faith is insane with saints. So I'm trying to tell you that when I saw this young man passed away, I was like, what do you mean? Is this woke? Is this woke? Is the Catholic Church woke right now?
Hold on. First thing, I just want to tell you something.
Yeah.
This is the Good Vibes episode.
I tried so hard. I tried so hard.
But also, okay. I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I do understand where you're coming from because
I'm not mad at this young man.
No, you're not mad.
I'm saying, is this stolen valor? Is this stolen saint valor?
You're becoming a conservative.
He made a website.
Okay.
That's it. He just made a website. St. Lucy had her eyeballs taken out.
Okay. Hold on.
He didn't even have a YouTube channel.
He wasn't even Mr. Beast.
He never had to make a fucking thumbnail.
Oh, God. You know what? I'm going to start praying to this guy for thumbnail help. Because, listen, there's nothing... When it comes to doing the YouTube, I don't mind like posting the vid, doing all this different stuff, doing all this other stuff, making the thumbnail, that right there, that's worthy of sainthood.
A graphic design is your passion.
It is my passion.
Christ.
You proud of yourself?
Yes.
Okay. So I knew from our conversations, and I knew obviously what the topic was going to be about.
Yeah.
And like I told you, I had those big books about martyrs and stuff like that. And so I also looked up a couple martyrs. Because here's the thing that's crazy actually about saints, what a lot of people don't realize, especially depending on the form of Protestantism you follow, is some of the saints carried over. Yeah. Because it depends on when the schism is between the churches. So for like the Episcopalians, they keep everything like up to Henry VIII. Okay. So like but some of them they ended up dropping. Because like I think even, who's the one that everybody would wear... okay, there's the one saint, he's a giant who was crossing the river and he carries a baby and it gets really, really heavy. Is it Saint Christopher?
I don't know.
He's not a saint anymore.
Okay.
Or like they like he is, but he isn't. There's like some that the Catholics have gone through and they're like, there's no proof that if we go back to the 200s, there's no proof these guys ever existed. Got it. This is like a story. And in some cases, a lot of the saints were accused, like historians and other people have looked at it and said that the reason the Catholic Church has so many saints is so that way they could glom onto polytheism. So when they went to a pagan place and you had Woden and Odin and all these other different gods around.
Oh, for sure. Everything that the Catholic Church does is pagan. Incense, sacrifices, lighting candles.
But they just rebranded it. They just rebranded it. They are the Apple of
Christmas trees.
Yes, but I'm saying it's like they're just like Apple.
Easter.
Apple didn't invent anything. they just show up 5 years later, and then they go, "This is what we're gonna do on our phones." Mm-hmm. Like they always show up a little bit late. Same with Google, all these different guys. They just show up and they go, "Oh, that's some pretty cool shit you're working on over there. What do you got there?"
Be a real shame if somebody was to buy it and change the name.
What do you got? You got a bunny that lays eggs? I'm gonna take that. I'm going to take that and put that right over here in my religion, right over here. But they did the same thing with a lot of the different saints. And so there's a lot of these ones. We talked about St. George on our Too Many Dragons episode, stuff like that. Like some of these are just crazy stories that are put together. But I pulled up.
You did some research.
I did my research, everybody, and I found 3 saints. But I didn't live with them like you did.
Yeah.
I didn't have them like Maria Goretti, where you're looking down at the Goretti girls down the street and be like, nah.
The Goretti girls were mean as shit. I loved them. One time, the Goretti girls. Okay, so here's the thing about going to Catholic school, girls' school. Can I sidebar?
Go ahead.
Sidebar. A lot of times, grown men would follow us home or drive slowly next to us or do awful things because grown men have an obsession with girls in uniform.
In Catholic school uniform, yeah.
And it's really gross when you think about it because we were underage children and they would follow us home in their cars.
Yeah, at 12, 13, 14.
At 12, 13, and 14. And so, we are mean inner city kids. And one time this guy was following these girls home and I believe he exposed himself to them.
Whipped it out.
And these 3 Goretti girls fucking turned around, took off their earrings and rings, and beat the bloody shit out of this dude on the street, his dick still out, right? And then they held him on the ground till the cops came because people passing by were like, yo, the fucking Goretti girls got this dude on the ground, his dick's out. They're just punching him in the head.
Okay, hold on. Wait a second. Roll it back here. I want to point something out.
Okay, go ahead.
You said Maria Goretti. Here's our target story. She was SA'd. She was stabbed. All these different things.
Yeah.
So these girls knew. They learned from her story.
Yeah.
That, listen, you can, if it happens, you should forgive because Christ is about forgiveness and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, like, but this could also happen.
Yeah.
So beat his ass on the street while his dick's out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Teach him a lesson.
Honestly, I'm starting to get on the Saints side here. I might be. Listen, I'm not saying that you're converting me, but you're kidding me with different information. Here's some saints I pulled up.
Okay, go ahead.
The first one, which is one I've been seeing a lot, is Saint Sebastian.
Okay.
Do you know who that is?
Yes, I've heard of him.
Okay, so Saint Sebastian is well known in the Catholic Church. If you go to many cathedrals, you'll see his image. And the image is typically him tied to a big post or a tree.
Arrows.
And he's riddled with arrows.
Yeah.
And I think actually Muhammad Ali did something where he did like a photo shoot or something like this that it was used later. Because a lot of Catholic imagery, especially in like the 60s, 70s, and 80s, is reused and repurposed.
Yeah.
I think a lot of like Madonna's Like a Prayer.
Absolutely.
Which was like a very controversial music video, and Protestants got very mad at Madonna because they said it was her making out with Jesus.
Yeah.
But I always viewed it because it was, what they're really mad about was that in the video they said that she was making out with a black Jesus. But even when I was a kid, I was like, no, that's just a Catholic saint. Because again, it's just a random guy.
Yeah.
And most Protestant churches don't even have an image of Jesus. They just have a fucking cross.
Yeah.
Happy Easter, everybody, if you're listening to this on Sunday.
I hope people are listening to this while they're driving to Easter lunch or dinner or whatever they're doing.
It might be a little late though. It might, unless maybe dinner. Maybe they're going to Easter dinner.
Driving to Easter dinner.
We're dropping this at noon Eastern. Maybe if you live on the West Coast, you're hitting it at 9 a.m. But anyway, this Saint Sebastian, riddled with arrows. That's how they like to remember him, and that's how they like to show him. Because much like Jesus, they like to show the saints typically on how they died. Yeah. Because hey, they're spreading the good news. So Saint Sebastian,
the good news.
The good news. Hey, when you die, hey, it's better.
I don't know.
Saint Sebastian was a Roman soldier in the late 200s.
Okay.
Now late 200s is a weird time.
Yeah.
Because this was like you got Rome, things are going all right. Sometimes it's collapsing, sometimes doing all right. Sometimes they got that. But Christians, it wasn't so good.
Yeah,
to
not
be a
so
Christian
great.
in the 200s. And this Roman soldier, Sebastian, he was a secret Christian. And at the time, the Roman emperor, his name was Diocletian. Okay. He had a whole purge about Christians. He was like, if I see you're a Christian,
you're out.
You're out of here.
Yeah.
And by out of here, I mean, we're going to kill you.
Yeah.
So this guy was a Roman soldier, and he was part of the emperor's Praetorian Guard.
Okay, so he's real close.
He was real close. And so Diocletian found out that this guy was a Christian.
Yeah.
And so he ordered that Sebastian be tied to a stake or a tree. We don't quite know what it was tied to.
Yeah.
And he was riddled with arrows.
Yes.
So they just shot him a bunch of times. So typically they show him with like 14 arrows sticking out of him.
Yeah.
But this didn't kill him.
Yeah.
And so this other lady who is also a saint shows up. She takes him down and she heals him, and he gets better.
Yeah.
So when he gets better, he goes back to the emperor because the emperor's like walking down the street.
Big
and he's like leaning against the wall, and he steps out and goes, "Hey, you didn't kill me. Fuck you. I love Jesus."
Okay, that's
and then the emperor's like, "Hey, kill that guy." And then these guys are like, "All right," and they beat him to death with clubs.
Damn it.
And now Saint Sebastian is the patron saint of soldiers who, remember, beat him to death with clubs.
Yeah.
Plague-stricken people.
Sure.
Archers.
Yep, there it is. They always do it right on the nose.
Yeah.
Always right on the nose.
But he has archers, disabled peoples,
Uh-oh.
athletes, because he got better
Yep.
from being shot, athletes,
Okay.
and cyclists. I don't know.
the
I don't know what.
cyclists?
I have no idea. I have no idea how Saint Sebastian got bikes. And it's like, again, bicycles aren't till like the 1800s.
Yeah. It's a long time to go.
I mean, maybe penny farthings you had in like the 1700s, but like late 1700s.
Maybe it's like, okay, you know how like that idea, like if you fall off a horse, you got to get up and get back on it.
Yeah.
And same thing on a bicycle. If you fall off your bike, you got to get back and try again.
Okay.
So like if you get shot by 14 arrows, you got to go back and try
still
to
yell at the emperor again. Yeah. Okay. Maybe that's it. So the next one I looked up was Saint Catherine of Siena.
Okay. All right.
Now this one's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Do you know this lady?
I've heard of this one. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you her whole story.
Okay. Tell me.
She's the 23rd of 25 kids.
Too many kids.
Too many tabs. So she's the 23rd of 25 kids.
Your parent doesn't know your name at that point.
Her dad is a cloth.
16 Catherines in.
Well, and also they die a lot.
Yeah, so you got to name them
So
all Catherine.
she was twins.
Yeah.
And I think the other one died.
I bet. Sure.
So she has, her dad is a cloth dyer.
Okay, cool.
He dyes cloth.
Love that.
Good job back then.
Great job back
they
then.
They replaced it with AI. No, it's just... but he would dye cloth, and when she was a kid, she had visions of Jesus and the different saints.
Probably from the dye.
Probably
fumes.
from being around dye
From the
fumes.
fumes.
Probably just huffing.
Yeah.
But she never wanted to marry.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons she never wanted to get married is because her sister that she was close with died in childbirth. And she put them together. She was like, when you get married, you get pregnant. When you get pregnant, you die.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do that.
And also, I'm sure that the husband remarried one day later.
Probably.
And she was like,
Yeah.
oh, I see. So they don't actually like you.
Yeah, they don't actually like you.
Got
Got it. She was like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And so she started. She got super into religion. And she got into like I don't want to get married. She's like, I am into abstinence. And she started to live as a servant for the rest of her family. Yeah. And they didn't treat her like terrible, but they also weren't like, well, you're never gonna be. We can't marry you off.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna get a dowry. All these different things. So you're a second class family member now.
Great.
But then she also started regularly fasting.
Yeah.
And she started to starve herself regularly for religious purposes. And now we would say that she's anorexic.
Yes.
And she then one night had a mystical marriage to Jesus Christ.
Again, probably the hallucinations from
starving herself.
Yeah.
But she was married to Jesus. Okay. And Jesus gave her a ring.
And what was that ring made of?
It was made of flesh. It was made of the flesh of his foreskin.
Oh, God.
And she said, I wear a flesh ring, but you can't see it. It's invisible. And everyone's like, okay.
And she's like, it's his foreskin.
Yeah, they said he got snipped. It did not grow back because he's not Wolverine from Marvel Comics, but it's on my fingy.
She rolled it down.
Yes.
Like a condom.
Stop. Oh, my God, with the visuals. God.
Audio forward.
Audio forward podcast. But the thing is that because her family was well off, she was very well read. She wrote a lot, and she got super into like the internal politics of the church, and also like of Italy and France. And at that time, the Pope was in Avignon, France.
Okay.
Because there was this whole thing with anti-popes and fake popes and all this different like crazy shit that happened. But she was the one who actually convinced the Pope to finally move the headquarters back to Rome. Yeah. And she was so well known, and she was so skinny, and she stopped eating almost completely, lived for like a few months on like nothing but I think water. And then she had a stroke, and she died at the age of 33 from lack of food.
Yikes.
Yeah. And she is the patron saint against fire.
Okay.
Against bodily ills.
All right.
Against people who are ridiculed for their piety. So if somebody's like, hey, man, you're being pretty crazy religious, you go, I'm going to say St. Catherine of Siena, get that asshole. How dare you get in the comments of my YouTube? I'm going to sex St. Catherine of Siena on you. She's the patron saint of nurses, so you know she's a bitch.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Whoa.
That's going to get a comment.
They were the meanest girls in high school.
Yeah, they were, especially the ones who went to Maria Goretti. All right, after that, she's the patron saint of sick people. Again, never wanted to be married. Patron saint of miscarriages.
Yeah, because of her sisters. Yeah.
She's the patron saint of all of Europe.
The whole thing.
Got it. Also of Italy.
Yep.
And of Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Which I was like, what a fucking...
Yeah.
Why would you? That's mean.
I was waiting until the very end because I saw that you wrote down Allentown because I've been to St. Catherine of Siena in Allentown.
Yeah, because it's a big church there.
It's a big thing.
Yeah, it's a big church.
Like, okay, so fun fact, in Catholic schools, sometimes they don't take you to places where you learn stuff.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to a museum, but they're going to take you to go on a field trip to St. Catherine of Siena in Allentown.
Listen, you got to go look at a cathedral.
You got to
look at a cathedral. Yeah. And honestly, that was the one thing I really did love as a kid when going to Europe with my family and like seeing history and stuff like that.
Great cathedrals out there.
Incredible cathedrals. Don't ask how they paid for them.
Whoa, hey,
gold room, you say? But the other part of the reason why this happened is the double down because we watched Conclave.
We did watch Conclave.
We watched Conclave. We opened up the Peacock. And they're like, do you want to watch Conclave or Wicked? And I was like, well, Conclave's shorter.
Also, my dad had come over.
Yeah, your dad came over.
My dad's like, yo, you got to watch Conclave.
You got to watch a Conclave. It is good. And I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you've been on the Instagram. Ray Fiennes.
Love him.
Ripped under there.
Oh.
Have you not seen the picture of ripped Ray Fiennes?
No.
Google it right now while I tell you about our next saint.
Okay.
Yeah, because I did a 3-bagger, okay? Ripped Ray Fiennes.
Ripped Ray.
Pull him up.
Fine.
I want to see. Nobody else is going to see him. I'm going to see your react.
Shut the fuck up.
I know.
What?
Yo, he's like 62 years old. That gives me faith that if I actually started going back to the gym,
yeah,
I might be able to do that.
Okay? I think he might be on the Liver King pills.
You think he's on the Liver King pills? You mean the HGH?
Yeah.
There's no allegedly on that, by the way. Liver King admitted it.
He did admit it.
Yeah, Liver King did admit it.
And then he went back on him.
Which is why he needs to do 7 Hail Marys to Saint Carlo Acutis, the patron saint of influencers and content creators.
It's always...
Have you committed a sin? Have you done the bad? Do you need to come back?
When you make your apology video on YouTube.
Listen, when you have the hoodie up and you're sitting on the floor.
Oh, that's what he looks like. He's got the hoodie up.
Yeah.
It's like a gray hoodie, and that's what's on the memorial candle you burn.
That would be. He does have memorial candles for sale in the shop. You showed me. I love those candles. I'm big in those candles. You know, we got a couple of them downstairs. Somebody sent us one that was gritty.
Yeah.
That's good. Someone made one of me.
There is one of you.
There's one of me. That was pretty nice.
I got Dolly Parton ones out the
Dolly Parton one, yep. All right, my last saint.
Okay.
Just because, again, I want to compare these to our saint of influencers, Agatha of Sicily. Do you know this one?
I vaguely remember Agatha.
Okay. 251
It was
AD.
her all along, right?
Okay. Agatha was a witch. We are talking about Catholic saints, all right?
They're definitely not
Both
witches.
get burned at stakes.
Well,
all right.
oopsie-daisy.
Agatha of Sicily. The year is 251 AD. We're in the Roman Empire.
Great year.
We're in Sicily.
Okay.
She's a 15-year-old girl who took a vow of virginity.
Uh-huh.
And she spurned the advances of a Roman official.
She said no.
Yeah, and then he said, you need to reject Christianity. And she said no. And very much like your other story, he sends her to a brothel.
It's kind of the most fucked up thing you could do.
Because that was one of the things. He was like, hey, I'm going to send you to these places. And then you know what they're going to do? Bang, bang, boom. You're going to get super into it.
That's not
how that worked.
No.
She went to the brothel and did not change her mind. Because that's not how things work.
No.
So they took her out of the brothel.
Yep.
And then they tortured her.
Yep.
And they removed her girls.
Yeah.
Her boobs.
Yep.
Her breasts. With iron tongs. Then they left her in a cell for a while, and then she was supposed to be burned at the stake. And right as they're about to get ready to do that, an earthquake happened. So they just put her back in jail again, and then eventually she died in prison.
All because she said no.
Yes.
I don't want to go on a date with you or anything with you.
Anything
to
with
a soldier.
Yeah, no, not even a soldier, an
Just
official.
say
This is a
no.
Roman official.
Just say no.
Now, here's the thing. When Agatha is portrayed, she is often painted carrying her severed breasts on a plane.
Yes.
She's holding them. And on her feast day in Sicily, they have a special treat that they serve that are called Agatha's buns, which are these little Sicilian sweet cakes that are shaped like a single boob with a cherry, like a maraschino cherry as the nipple.
Yeah. This all goes to prove my point.
Are you ready? Are you ready for her patron saints?
Yes.
Okay.
What
She is the patron saint of, let me go ahead and, let's start at the worst part. This part. Jewelers.
Yeah.
She's the patron saint of martyrs. Of sexual assault victims.
Yeah.
Of single laywomen.
Sure.
Of people who suffer from sterility.
Uh-oh.
Of victims of torture. She's the patron saint of natural disasters, fire, earthquakes, the eruptions of Mount Etna.
Okay, very specific.
All volcanic eruptions.
All
I don't know
of them.
why volcanic eruptions need
I
our
think the
patron saint.
volcanic eruption caused the earthquake.
She is also the patron saint of wet nurses. Of bakers because of the cakes.
Yeah, because of the cakes.
Of breast cancer patients. And this is the craziest one, bell founders. Now, I know what you're thinking, why is it crazy that they picked bell founders for the boob saint? Because they said, hey, bells look like boobs. So obviously that's what she's into. So, hey, what are you doing? Making a bell? Well, it looks like a shitty bell. Well, I prayed to St. Agatha of Sicily about it.
The Liberty Bell in Philadelphia, the prayers aren't working.
Prayers aren't
Still
working.
Cracked.
Still cracked.
Still cracked.
But this is just such a fucking crazy list. And then sitting next to, listen, I don't know in Catholic heaven if they have their own like saint wing. But you're up there and there's St. Agatha just like sitting there with a plate with her boobs on it. And then this kid walks in. What'd you do? Well, I
made a spreadsheet.
I know C++. I know JavaScript. And she's like holding her boobs on a plate like, I can't even fucking reattach these things. St. Sebastian's standing next to him with arrow. It's like that show Ghosts.
Oh, yeah.
It's like that show Ghosts where all the different people are stuck with the way they're dead. And they're just like, what the fuck? Oh, and then you died. I mean, I had leukemia. I got real skinny. And then the fucking literally Catherine Siena's like, oh, you got skinny. You got real skinny.
Yeah,
that's
we're
wild.
Going to hell for this episode.
Bartholomew was literally.
I'm telling you.
Oh,
right
you know what?
now.
I remember actually Bartholomew. Bartholomew is often, because you mentioned him, he's the one who's skinned.
Yeah.
And a lot of his icons, he's often portrayed carrying his skin.
Yeah, he carries his skin over his arm.
Over his arm like a coat.
I was like, it's so gross.
No. He carries it like, because he's like a flayed man. He carries it like a coat.
Yeah.
He's just carrying his big, like he's carrying a long jacket. He's like, I thought it was going to be cooler today.
We're Catholic people. We're crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can't choose this life.
Yeah. I'm just saying, it's like when somebody is like, because again, most of the Protestant religions, they kept the saints. They're around.
Yeah.
But we don't talk about them. They don't cut into them.
No.
They're just like, yeah. What's that over there? Oh, yeah, well, they just named the church after him. Who is that? Saint Bartholomew. Mm-hmm. What'd he do? Spread the good word. Oh, cool. You should be like him. Spread the good word. All right, cool. Nobody ever brings up how they died.
Yeah, don't
say how he did it. The Catholic Church starts with how they died. They don't even get into the good shit they did. Like, the first thing you learn about that guy, they ripped his skin off. Anyway, when an influencer does a bad, this is what we're going to do. When an influencer does a bad, right?
Yeah.
When somebody resurfaces an influencer's tweets from 2013, and I don't know why they're always from 2013. They're always 2013-based tweets. Instead of being like, you're canceled, you should write, time for you to pray to Saint Acutus.
Time for you to
get a Saint Acutus candle.
Yeah, better start praying. Get them socks on.
Honestly, I think we can. Should we? Maybe, we've been talking about merch for a while.
No.
Maybe we start selling Saint Acutus candles. That's not very Saint Acutus of you.
Yeah, Saint Acutus says a merch store.
Hashtag blessed. Oh.
What's his promo code?
Hey guys, go to Pearlmania500.net and hit that promo code looking Acutus. If you're tired of making those 3 boring dinners on rotation, it's time to try something new with Factor. Yes, our absolute favorite sponsor and also our favorite meals.
Absolutely.
Are back again, and because Factor is awesome.
Yeah.
They send fully prepared meals right to your door that you just heat in 2 minutes and right in your microwave or right in a skillet. And guess what? I don't think we've been clear about how good these meals are, because these are not your like divorced dad microwave dinners that are sad with a burnt brownie in the middle. These are gourmet level cooked chef meals that are in a perfect little tray you can throw right in the microwave. You can pop them out, and they're so, oh my God, good. Mrs. P has some favorites. Tell them.
Well, no, my big favorite right now, and this is going to sound really bougie, but the truffle butter filet mignon. Come on.
I know.
Come on.
You can get truffle butter filet mignon delivered to your door.
Yeah, in 2 minutes in the microwave.
Yeah,
What? I'm living in the future.
It's crazy. It's crazy. They have 45 meal options to choose from each week across a huge variety of lifestyle and diets. And as you guys know, we have some pretty important diet requirements here at our house, and they fit all of them at Factor. So get started today. Factormeals.com/toomany50 off and use code toomany50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code toomany50 off at factormeals.com/toomany50 off for 50% off plus free shipping. If you don't remember the code, go right down to those show notes and click the link right now.
Chinese people are hilarious.
Yes.
And we found this out when we all went to Red Note.
Yeah. So for those guys who don't know, back in January when
they first banned TikTok.
Yeah, for the 14-hour ban, in the hours running up to that, a lot of people ran to the app Red Note. And Red Note is an app that, and we all got on there, and then we quickly discovered that Chinese people are fucking hilarious.
They're so funny.
They're so funny, but also then people also discovered in weird ways that like, hey, some of the propaganda we know about them and some of the propaganda that they know about us is backwards.
Yeah.
And weird. But we just discovered they're very, very, very funny, especially when it comes to
funny and friendly. And it was for the time that I spent like scrolling through Red Note, I was like, wonderful. I love this. This is great.
Yeah.
And then so people have a context that the citizens of China are funny and welcoming, and there's just like this opening that happened in social media through TikTok and Red Note. Yeah. And so when this tariff war started, I use the word war loosely because I feel like it's dumb. The Chinese factories and people that work there where they make the items that we as Americans purchase started making TikToks walking through the factories, basically calling out all these designers. Yeah. They were like, oh, Gucci handbags, we make them here. Oh, Hermes handbags, we make them here. You can buy them directly from us. You don't have to go there. You don't have to pay a tariff. Or if you do have to pay a tariff, it will be so it won't even matter because you're going to get such a deep discount because it's like, oh, this Gucci purse is $20. Yeah. So even if you have to pay a $200 tariff on it, you're like
paying $60 for a $400,
you're
$500
still
purse.
Paying less than this like $2,000 purse.
Because the markup, the luxury brand markup especially, is so crazy. Yeah. And that was one of the things. It's been so funny scrolling through them though, because like there's some every now and then where I'm in there, like, because part of it is, for those of you guys who don't know about Canal Street in New York, it's a place where people would go and get knockoffs of all these big luxury brands. There was a really good joke about it in the show Broad City, where a character and her mom goes and like they get to the good knockoffs versus the bad knockoffs. When you sell tourists to New York versus actual New Yorkers and covering everybody for like a low amount of money. But one of the things is like with these factories and everything else over there, this almost like legitimized Canal Street overnight. Yeah. Even though like it's just so funny.
Well, I think the thing that made me laugh really hard is that now all of these huge designer brands, they need to come out with videos showing
how their shit's
Italian
made.
or French factories because they keep claiming, oh, it's made in Italy. Oh, it's made in France. Okay, well, show us. Yeah. I know your employees have cell phones. Walk in there right now. But now it's been a week. So it's like, by now you could have bought a fake warehouse. Like, I don't trust you to not create a set.
But the thing is like back in the day when they were trying to sell you on this, right? Like, let's just say like an Italian handbag. Yeah. All right, it's an Italian handbag. First thing they would do is they would go all the way to where the leather comes from. Like we use the finest Spanish leather or Italian leather, whatever. We're going to go to the farm. This is where we locally source the leather from.
Yeah.
And then it's brought over here to this tanner who's been doing this with their family for 600 years. Look, St. Bartholomew is on the wall. Huh?
Yeah.
Call back. And then, they do that. And then we take it to our factories, and here are craftsmen who've been doing this for 200 years.
Yeah.
And all of this different stuff. And they back in the 80s and even in the 90s, these were like these videos that they would make, and it would be clips of them going together. And obviously, a lot of them would be staged.
Yeah.
But like you could do that now with CapCut on your phone and
Easy
walk
peasy.
through and make a 90-second Instagram reel or TikTok
But they're
showing
not.
us. But they're not. And instead what they're doing is they had 60 minutes.
Yeah, I think that was an old clip.
That was an old clip?
Yeah, but they released a statement. But
Hermes did. Yeah.
But like releasing a statement doesn't mean anything. You need to show video. It's 2025. We need to see proof.
Show us.
Show me.
Show me. Show
Also,
us.
what you just said. There was another round of videos because again, I got pipelined hard into because of course I'm watching all of them. I need to know.
I do want to say that this is straight up. This is Chinese propaganda.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yum 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 yum. I ate it all up. I was like, this is incredible.
Mrs. P immediately, if you aim Chinese propaganda at my wife, she will enjoy it incredibly. She can't actually eat most Chinese food like at the mall. She can't have Panda Express.
I can't.
She got the celiacs.
Yeah, I can't
and
eat it.
they even put gluten in the soy sauce.
Yeah, it's the number one ingredient in soy sauce.
Yeah, unfortunately,
It's a real bummer.
it's not actually soy sauce. And so she gets real sad. So she doesn't get to have the sweet treats like we do. So when Chinese propaganda comes her way, she goes, "Oh, it's gluten-free."
Yum 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 yum. I love it. Well, no, the other thing that came out is
Yeah.
that a lot of the leather is sourced from Nigeria.
Oh.
Yeah, Nigerian TikTokers got on and were like, hey, just so you know, this isn't Italian leather. This is African leather that's being sourced in Africa because, again, China's been making such headways with their trade in Africa that that's part of it. Also, the other thing that I was saying about watching these videos is there is this inherent racism that is being called to the front that people are bearing witness to that they can't unsee, which is that if it's Italians making the bags, it's, they're artisans. Oh, they're artisans at their work. But if there's Chinese people who have been doing this specialty labor for 20 years, that this is the thing they do and they're very well qualified at it, they're like, oh no, it's just sweatshop labor. It's like, no, they're artisans. They're showing you that these people are well qualified, well trained. This is their life's work. But for some reason, if they're not Italian, it's not an artisan.
There was a lot of people screaming about sweatshops and child labor over the last couple weeks.
With good reason, because it does exist.
It does exist.
Yeah.
Also, it exists in America.
We
have child labor being your food is being sourced through child labor inside of the borders of the continental United States.
Yes.
It has been called out, and it was caught repeatedly in the butcher shops. Not butcher shops, but the factory.
Meatpacking plants.
Yeah, meatpacking plants had children working and mopping the floors and cleaning and working on cleaning machinery and shit like that. Like
dangerous jobs.
Dangerous jobs. We have sweatshops in this country where again, we had OSHA, and we had other things that are supposed to be catching these things.
Yeah.
But especially when it comes around our food, there are laws that have been put in place by lobbies to make sure that journalists and activists and others can't point out that this shit's bad.
Yeah.
And it's like those laws are the equivalent of the ones that other oligarchs have overseas in their areas where they control. And so one of the things that's really happening right now, especially on TikTok users, that is then trickling through the rest, which we touched about a little bit on the last episode, is that all of our ideas about the world that is not inside the continent, I always will use the term continental United States, are so outdated.
Yeah.
And they are locked mainly because our leadership views the world through the goggles of the 1980s.
Yeah.
And so because they haven't seen the changes in the rest of the world and their technological level, their connectivity to the rest of the world, and because of just, how our supply chains work, which is what these guys are calling out in the videos. There's some things that are happening in the videos where I look at it, I'm like, okay, that little thing might not be true. And this guy actually might be a scammer. There's a couple times. But there was one guy, and it was a very powerful video. And again, it was I've been accused of making propaganda videos too. And sometimes, probably. Yeah, I have a feeling, this is a feeling I want to get across. This guy had the same thing. And he pointed out that the trade between China and the U.S., China made money. But then China took that money and reinvested into China.
Yeah.
And they built high-speed rail. They built roads. They built ports. They built
housing.
schools. They built whole towns, cities, and just everything.
Yeah.
And they put that back in. What did our oligarchs, who also made billions of dollars, what did our billionaires do to reinvest? They built dick-shaped rockets to launch Katy Perry to be able to sell her.
Oh my God.
New
I want to say
fucking
I
album.
was right. Last week I said this Katy Perry bullshit
Yep.
is bullshit. I called it. I said this
I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Was it 2 weeks ago?
I think it was 2 weeks
I
ago.
was pre-mad. I was pre-mad about her and Gayle King going to space.
Yep.
But now it happened, and you know what happened? Everybody said, what the fuck, that's out of touch.
Yeah, well, the thing is, we knew, much like many things, they announced it and we go, oh, well, they're not going to do this one good.
That's not going to be good.
Listen, they're not going to do good. And then I actually was shocked of how tone deaf it all was.
Ow, Katy Perry's always tone deaf. I don't think she can sing at this point because she doesn't understand tone. Like, she's always been tone deaf, whether it's letting nuns die because she wanted to buy property, or if it was changing the recipe for apple cider vinegar, or if it was siding with Dr. Luke, the guy who sexually abused Kesha, and we are always on Team Kesha in this household. This is a Kesha-ass household.
Kesha, if you want to come on the pod anytime, baby.
TikTok, baby, TikTok. She's the original. She
is the original.
But so, just out of touch at all times, and like, the things that were going through my mind as I was seeing the reaction is just like, and what I thought 2 weeks ago is like, the Katy Perry is floating in space, staring at a flower that she brought with her.
Yeah, holding it in front of the camera.
She's floating in space like she's tripping on shrooms.
Yeah.
While the rest of us are drowning down here.
Yeah.
You're floating while we're drowning.
There is a very famous Gil Scott Heron poem called Whitey on the Moon. I think I referenced it in the last pod, but it's making the rounds again now, which is and it's just so much of it because it was the other one was I think it's Bezos' girlfriend or wife.
Yeah.
When she couldn't close the boob hatch.
Gotta have a boob
until
hatch.
she was finally on the rocket. They're like, you gotta zip up. She's like, but she's like, I paid a lot for these.
She
I'm
paid
like,
a lot of
Jeff
money
paid
for
a lot
those.
for those.
Hey,
But
getting a surgery is a big deal.
it is a big deal. Okay.
So she worked hard for those.
No, it's fine. I'm just saying, put them on the plate. But but in general, and like seeing the backlash, seeing the attempt of the backlash to the backlash has been so fun.
Oh my God.
Because I saw Gayle had to like come on. Oprah had to shut off her comments.
Oprah had to turn off comments on all platforms because
Yeah.
people were like, yo, your friend Gayle out here.
But it's like, it's one of those ones where even when we're watching, like if you watch the clips, Katy Perry is like floating because she's out of her head.
Yeah.
Fucking Jeff Bezos. I don't even remember. I don't even
know
give her
her
a name.
name.
I don't want to give her.
I don't know her name. I'm not going to learn
I
it.
refuse. I'm not. You know what, lady? I'm not even giving you agency. That's how little. And I give a lot of women agency. I don't respect you enough to know your name.
I give a lot of women.
I do,
but not all of them.
not you. Yeah, and you know what? Go ahead. You're gonna write a paragraph about that on YouTube. Go ahead and start deleting it, buddy, because we're just gonna hide it. All right. Thank you for the engagement.
That's blueberries.
That's blueberry. Thank you for the blueberry
comments.
money.
Thank you for the blueberries.
But anyway, with specifically them, like Gayle King walking to the rocket, that is a lady who's like, why is this meeting at 8 a.m.?
Yeah.
Why is this a beginning of the shift meeting?
I can't
The
believe she
look
did
on
it.
her face. Everyone else is like walking by, they're ringing the bell, they're excited. Gayle King's just like, God damn, okay.
She knew she shouldn't have done it as soon as she got
no,
there.
it was whatever the check is.
Yeah.
She didn't. Gayle King doesn't have it in her to fake it anymore.
Yeah.
So she went. She got her check, and then she's like, "Why y'all getting mad at me? I got the check." But she can't say she got the check.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
Sign that NDA.
And the thing is
allegedly.
the thing that got me is I woke up the one day and it was I was with the baby the one morning, and I turned on. I watched the news with the baby in the morning.
Yeah.
Because usually the local shit. And I'm watching.
Our local guys are crazy.
Our local guys are insane.
They're worth waking up for.
They're worth waking it.
Shout out Mike Jarek.
And the baby loves a car commercial because the baby doesn't see a lot of commercials. You know, the baby didn't grow up like us with constant commercials. So when a car commercial comes on, the baby's locked in.
He's like, "What's a Buick?"
And it's like,
Shit
what?
looks cool.
A Jeep can jump a volcano. And I'm like, yeah, the volcano's it's Patron Saint is
He's trying to
up
scroll back to
Agatha of
the-
Sicily. Did you know that, Pearl Baby? Anyway, so when that's happening, I was like watching it. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's cool. And I was like, oh, you know what? I should check one of the other ones. And I was like, CBS this morning. What do they say about the world? So I switched over to CBS this morning, and I did not know, but because of Gayle King, CBS this morning was only covering the rocket launch.
Oh.
And I'm like, again, I don't give a shit that there's rockets taking off. But with everything else happening in the world,
That's the thing.
doing 2 hours of coverage, I only want to know if the rocket doesn't come back.
Oh.
Because also,
I can't believe it came back. If you put me in a rocket to space, I'm not coming back.
but also, here's the thing with the rocket. When you watch it, it's the Tower of Doom ride.
Yeah.
You go up, it comes down.
Yeah. The end.
You don't circumnavigate the globe.
You know what also?
You don't
Oh.
You don't float for a minute. You go up, you go up, you come down. 11 minutes. 11 minutes? I want to tell you something. If the news covered me doing a good job for 11 minutes, all right? I'm just saying, I'd have some money. 11 minutes is a long time in the world I'm talking about. It's 11 minutes.
11 minutes.
11 minutes is crazy work. At 40? Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. P shall now address her haters.
I, last week, talked some shit on Elon Musk and the pizza guy, the misogyny pizza guy.
Yeah.
Dave Portnoy. Okay.
Yeah.
And I was making a joke.
I love you said the misogyny pizza guy.
Misogyny pizza guy.
No, you're right. It just took me a second because my first thought was Papa John, the original Papa John. It took me a minute because I was like, no, the original Papa John, that guy is an asshole. And so when misogyny pizza guy though is Dave Portnoy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes. Okay.
So I made jokes that these out of touch billionaires
Yes.
and millionaires have this thought because they grew up watching Batman movies.
Yeah.
And they don't use their wealth the way that old timey billionaires and oil barons and railroad barons did, which is you invest in the community around you so that they don't grab pitchforks, basically. The Rockefellers built libraries and museums. Carnegie built institutions to form education. It's crazy to me. And so anyway, I made a joke about it.
Yeah.
I did a little bit last week.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, the comment section has lost their goddamn mind on the clips.
Yes, and the clips.
In the
Because Mr.
clips.
Third, good job on the clips, Mr.
Good
Third.
job,
You've been
Mr.
doing
The
very
great
good
clips.
job
We
on the
love
clips.
your
We
clips.
love the clips.
Clips are great.
You're doing good clips. Don't call him great clips. He doesn't do haircuts. But he made the clips. And the thing is actually on the full episode,
Yeah.
people were good. They're like,
loved
what
it.
an amazing metaphor. What a great analogy.
Yeah.
On the shortened clips, though, the paragraphs.
The boys are mad. The boys are mad.
Yes.
And 1% of girls.
Yeah.
There's like two gals that really
They got real mad at you.
and I was like, okay, whatever.
Well, and because they specifically, I saw the comments over and over and over again. Like, in the comic books. Oh, tell me, look at this lady. She clearly has only ever watched the movies, which you said, yeah, the same way the billionaires have only watched the movies.
The way that statistically most of the public has only watched the movie.
Yes. And what's crazy is they don't know that as you were saying all that, you're sitting next to a huge comic book nerd and fan who has read all of the fucking shit you're referencing.
Yeah.
That all these people are down there in the comments being like, well, she clearly doesn't know about this. Oh, she doesn't know about the Thomas and Martha Wayne Foundation. Oh, yeah, you mean the tax dodge?
The tax dodge. Oh, I'm sorry. The nonprofit they started. You're going to talk to me about how nonprofits work?
Oh.
The woman that's been working in nonprofits for way too friggin' long in the sector. And how, I'm sorry, the billionaire president who isn't even allowed to have nonprofits anymore because he used them improperly because that's what rich people do.
Yeah.
They don't help anybody. They just use them as a fundraiser.
Somebody actually got into the comments and said, there's been a lot of arguments about Batman's superpower. Mm-hmm. And Batman's superpower is that he's the only ethical billionaire. The floor is yours. The floor is yours.
How is he ethical? This is another thing that kept happening in the comments. Speaking of the ethics of Batman, is he only beats up criminals. He only fights criminals. What I was trying to convey to you is that statistically, if you look at the studies on criminality, it comes directly from poverty. And so instead of spending, I don't know, $500,000 building a special bat motorcycle or bat flying thing that shoots grates that capture things. Because again, they're like, well, he puts money in the foundation. But how much money is he spending on all of his little toys that could be used to help people get out of poverty? And like, they're like, oh, well, he could do this. I'm like, he could have built low-income housing. He could have funded public schools and food banks. Right now, our local food bank is fucking empty. It's fucking empty. But I'm sorry, we got Pennsylvania millionaires. I know who they are. I want to go to space. I want to buy a new what's that ugly ass truck? The Cybertruck. They want to buy all these things. That's what Batman did. He bought Cybertrucks instead of helping people. And because you don't understand the correlation between poverty and how it leads to criminality, because when you put poor people in a bad situation, it leads to crime, and then they are over policed the way that white criminals are not over policed and rich people are not over policed. Those are two different categories. There is over policing of certain demographics. Okay. And I do not want to yell about this too much because I don't have the statistics in front of me to prove my point, but I'm saying.
But also your true point was back to the billionaires.
Yes.
Which is the billionaires view themselves as Batman.
Yes.
And you guys kept getting crazy and being like, and not all of you, these people in the comments kept getting crazy and started defending Bruce Wayne when the whole point was about Jeff Bezos.
Yes.
It was about Elon Musk. It was about all of these other different guys and how they could just be paying in on taxes.
Yes.
Like the thing is when you guys start talking about nonprofits, like nonprofits are a way for billionaires and other rich people like the Waltons who own the Walmart family. The Walmart family of everything, Sam's Club, all that different shit. The Walton family, they're billionaires. And they pay into nonprofits. They get a tax write-off because they're paying into nonprofits to help poor people. You know who the poor people are?
They're employees.
They're fucking employees.
It's their employees. They pay into nonprofits to help their employees get food stamp benefits. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Is like.
At the same time, guess what? Here's another good thing the Waltons do. They invest in art that they then loan to museums. Mm-hmm. They invest into art that they then loan to museums. Listen, Batman, Bruce Wayne, is a fictional character.
That's the other thing I just kept writing in the comments. Dude's not real.
He's a fictional character.
Dude's not real.
That exists as a form of propaganda to make you comfortable with what the possibilities of a rich person could do if they were good, but also that we need to have rich people to go up against unseen forces. But in many of the stories themselves, Batman is actually the fucking bad guy. Justice League Tower of Babel, Batman White Knight, the fucking Dark Knight Returns. That is literally a fascist allegory. Like you go through all these different things. How many times? How many Robins?
How many Robins?
How many Robins did Batman go through? There's not one. Name me the Batman issue where he stops Jeffrey Epstein. Name me. Like, y'all are, like, the people were screaming. Like, people got so mad at you.
So mad.
And I just kept laughing. Because in all of the years of fucking content we've made, there's been 2 times we've gotten fucking blowback.
Yeah.
One, I jokingly, it was a fucking joke. I said Stanley Tucci wasn't hot. And it was weeks. I jokingly said, and guess what? I see it now.
Oh, you know, they just re-upped his show. Sorry.
I would let Stanley Tucci get into that pussy and fill it with garlic and oregano and whatever else he wants to do. Clean out my dishwasher, old man. I'd let you in there. But that was the first time, and that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years ago. And now 2 years later, you said billionaires are insane because Batman...
I just compared it. People were like, how dare you speak ill of Batman?
How dare you yuck my yum? You didn't even say Mr. Met. Listen. And
the whole thing is and then they're like, oh, the fucking Dave Portnoy, he's a good guy, he helps people. And I'm like, this is the thing you don't understand about the idea of an ethical billionaire or extreme millionaire, right? At the top end of millionaires, is like he said he had 20 million to lose.
Yeah.
If I had, knock on wood, one day 20 million in my bank account, I'm not going to lose it because I probably invested it in my fucking community. Like, if you're hoarding wealth like a dragon, you got 20 million in a stock market you're not utilizing. It's not trickling down like Reagan promised in any fucking way. They're just hoarding it like dragons and then using it to shoot pop stars in space.
Yep.
Or send them to the Titanic.
Or in Dave Portnoy's cases, what's the word where they do the
podcast about teenage girls?
Yeah, podcast about college girls and accuse
really
them of horrifying shit.
Yeah, he's just obsessed with what's going on in young girls' lives. It's very strange.
I mean, just like
he's like 50.
Yeah.
And he had a podcast with like a 20-year-old. I don't understand.
It's just one of those things. Where
I don't know the Misogyny Pizza Man. I only learned about him because of this.
I know. And it's one of those things where I always feel bad whenever somebody has to find out about him or Barstool or any of those different things. But that was Mrs. P addressing the haters, everybody. Let's give it.
Yeah. Also, somebody did comment, it's clear you went to public school.
Oh,
and I said, absolutely not. Worse, Catholic school.
No, you read it out loud and says, it's clear she went to public school. And you just yelled, false!
False.
And that's why we did this entire episode. This entire episode was to prove that this lady over here did not go to public school.
No.
You think she went to a Philadelphia public school?
No.
They barely even have those anymore.
Not anymore. I went to a Catholic school that had iron gates in the windows and barbed wire around it in the middle of a city.
Yeah.
Okay. I went to school. I went to classes about imaginary sky angels instead of math. Okay. I'm at a way bigger deficit than you're giving me credit for.
Instead of going.
And yet I figured out that rich people don't contribute to society. And in the imaginary world where we're making America great again, and back in the time when it was all good, guess what? They were taxed at 90%. Back when things were great that you want to live in a world like that again, the billionaires were taxed at 90%. Now they don't pay shit.
You know, you're really making me feel like a co-host on this podcast.
Oh, wow. Wow. I'm on my shit.
Well, Mrs. P.
Yeah.
We are coming near to the end of the episode.
Okay, we got a big announcement.
To remind all the listeners out there before we get into our big announcement here at the end of the show, for anybody who is looking for their shout-outs, those have all been moved to the warm-up, our Patreon exclusive parasocial Pearlmaniac podcast, which you can hear typically on Thursdays that we record before every episode. But the big announcement is that the Patreons have spoken. We opened a poll, and that poll was to name your patio goose.
That's true.
And that patio goose has joined us.
The poll was crazy, everybody. The poll was on Patreon, and everybody could vote. We picked our 5 favorite names. And do you want to pull up the name of the person?
I have the names. I have everything here.
Okay.
These are the names that were listed in the order that you had them in the poll.
Okay.
First was Patty O'Goose.
Yep.
Then there was Bernie Ganders. There was Morris Goosebine.
Great. That's a callback to Morris Fishbine.
There was Reba Honkentire.
Incredible.
There was Goose Mania.
Goose Mania.
And a last-minute addition, Terry Goose, and This Is Fresh Air. You added that one at the last second.
Yeah.
And we have now closed the poll. And thank you to the over 637 people who voted.
Thank you. Thank you for your support, your engagement.
I've checked. We have over 50% of all of the Patreons who voted for this. So we have actually a higher turnout than
the national
elections in America.
We did better turnout.
We had better turnout. And we have him here. Let's go ahead and bring him up. This is our
you can
porch
see,
goose.
The porch goose. I had a custom knit outfit prepared. They are wearing a little raincoat that has a little frog in the pocket.
You were obsessed with it. You're like, it's got a little frog in the pocket.
It's got a frog in the pocket. I'm obsessed.
It's just a cute little person. And you got this from an Etsy store.
I got it from a lady on Etsy who makes them by hand.
It's a hand crocheted one. And it came pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But we now know what we have to buy future outfits for.
Yeah.
Because the poll is now closed, and in a first of American history, on a national, dare I say, international poll, I am proud to announce that this, my friend, is Bernie Ganders.
That's right.
That's right,
I
Bernie
kind of want to
Ganders.
call her Bernice, but that's because she has on a bit of a little lady's outfit. But
Yes.
that being said, I feel like for Bernie Ganders, I need to have a little outfit made where he has mittens and like the glasses
Like you did
and the
from
little mask.
From the 21
The
inauguration,
the
where he's
21
sitting,
inauguration.
when he was sitting kind of cunty in the chair with his
Arms
hands over.
crossed, little brown mittens,
Yep.
face mask on.
And we want to give a big shout out because she sent us a message
Yeah.
to the person who came up with the name Bernie Ganders. Jessie Might Panic. Thank you.
Jessie Might Panic. Thank you.
Thank you for both the names and thank you for the wonderful message.
Yeah.
As you stated in the message, yes, it did boom me too hard.
Yep.
Because it was a very sweet message, and we are always grateful to hear what our podcast helps people,
fix our hat.
just survive.
Yeah.
It is easier for me to just get threats, I
Yeah.
will say. But it was a very nice message.
Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for the message and the amazing name.
Yeah,
and we hope
also,
everything is going
and
well.
also for being a member of the Patreon for so long. We love having you as part of our community, and thank you again to all the Patreons. Your wonderful messages, your wonderful comments, and just how we have just been interacting with y'all. It's just been such a crazy time. So with that, we are here with Bernie Ganders. Now, I do want to say something.
Okay.
Unlike the Democratic Party, we allowed this direct democracy to go through.
That's true. Somebody disagreed. Somebody was upset.
I said it on the warm-up. I didn't realize of how important one of the names was to me and how further it stuck out. So Mrs. P, I do want to say
Yeah.
that with having Bernie Ganders here, that Bernie Ganders need not be alone
Oh, okay.
because I demand a second. Because I need Reba Honkentire on our front porch. A single goose who works 2 jobs, who loves her gooselings and never stops, a gentle wing, and the heart of a tiger. Reba Honkentire is a survivor. I had to go slow because I had to think of every fucking lyric on that one to do it right.
Wait till he does fancy.
Don't.
I'm going to get her.
Reba Honkentire just singing fancy would break me.
I'm going to get a little red dress slit all the way up her thigh.
Yeah.
Baby.
So we've made it to the end of the show.
Yeah.
We only got smited once by a Catholic saint.
Our own fault. Our own fault, really.
You addressed your haters.
No, not my haters. The haters.
You addressed the haters. And we also just let everybody know that story report is coming soon. And we also have some deep dive episodes in the works that we are working on right now. So we want to say thank you again to everybody who's listened to us. If you enjoyed this show, please like, subscribe, comment, give us 5 stars wherever it is you are listening, whether or not that be Spotify, over there on iTunes, and leave us a review. It really, really does help us out. Thank you guys for everything. And we will see you next week for a new episode of Too Many Porch Gooses.
Too many frauds and too many scammers that we wish weren't real. Too many cons and too many spammers, and we're starting to feel like we've got too many tabs open. It's too many tabs. Remember to smile.